Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Justin Roberti, and I have apparently taken over Moon or Bust like a virus.
I'm still here, but my nose is bleeding just as bad as the markets right now.
Look at
So
how Ryan sacrifices for us, just so you guys know that Ryan is out there and that he is okay. There he is. He has a little bit of a nosebleed at the moment. It's fine. We're all good vibes to Ryan. Let's like and subscribe for Ryan having a nosebleed and
this
still
is
being on
all
the
for
show.
you guys. All right, I'm gonna clean up my face, Justin. I'll be right back in a
Yep,
minute or two.
that's
It's
cool.
slowing down.
All right. And I just want to welcome everyone to the Moon or Bust rocket ship, as our good friend Logan, who is traveling today, would normally say. So I'm here to fill in for Logan. Your home for all things crypto up Benzinga. I am, of course, Justin Roberti. You've seen me guest host a couple of times before. I have a crypto podcast coming up as part of the Benzinga lineup starting next week as well. So you'll be seeing more of me. But I'm a Benzinga special ops reporter. I do a Friday column and do other pieces. Do a lot of interview driven stuff. So today we're going to be talking to a crypto influencer. We have an interview coming up with us, so that's going to be cool. Stick around for that. It is David Gokstein. He's an influencer, and he also works in partnership with Benzinga. He founded the HODL gang community. We're going to be talking about regulations. Of course, the Biden executive order just dropped this week. I was going to talk a little bit about the state of DeFi networks. If you haven't already, he's had, as Ryan has some issues with the nosebleed valuations, perhaps. Well, it could be. We've seen some heights, right? Although not as much lately. Also, like, if you haven't caught it this week, have you noticed that Ethereum is now the third most popular DeFi network if you judge it in terms of the amount staked? Which actually, I mean, this kind of blew my mind. I was just taking a look at Luna because I'd heard it had a lot of upward activity this past week. It didn't quite break its record, but it got up to around 100, which doesn't quite beat the December 2021 high of 106. But as I got into it, I saw that what was behind this is essentially Terraform Labs at this point has surpassed Ethereum for the number 2 spot in terms of overall amount staked. And although everyone's kind of recovering from their price in December, Luna Coin right now has Luna Coin's hanging around $94, and they have 26 billion staked at this point. Solana, of course, remains number 1 with 32, which puts Ethereum in third place with 24. I mean, like, all love to Ethereum. I'm not trying to cast stones at Ethereum. I just, I think it's a funny thing because if you think about it, I mean, how you doing there, Ryan?
It's not going away, but I made a fix and I'm here. So we're gonna live with it for now.
It's just jury rigged. All right. So thoughts and prayers for your nose, Ryan.
Thank you, sir.
But I think it's crazy because, just even the way we talk about DeFi networks, like what we mean by alternative DeFi networks is basically alternative to Ethereum, when demonstrably, if you're talking about an amount staked, which is, actual positive activity in the community, they've just been beaten out by Terra. What do you think of that, Ryan?
Well, this is what I have to say to that, Justin. I'm an ETH maxi, so of course I have my case for Ethereum. There's not as many platforms on Terra Luna, right? So people will stake and get their 7% interest, and that's all great. But there's so many other things to do on Ethereum. People don't have 32 ETH to spend on a validator node anymore. That's one point I have. But they're too busy buying NFTs, right? So they don't have their 32 ETH to stake. But I'm pretty sure there's no minimum on Terra. So anyone can go in and stake their Terra Luna on the network, whereas with Ethereum, you need 32 ETH, which not that many people have. That's a lot of money, right? That's like $80,000. But aside from that, I mean, we have Aave with $20 billion locked in it, and we're talking $30 billion staked on Terra Luna, and about $28 billion staked on Ethereum. And then there's Uniswap with billions of dollars of staked in it too. So what I would say to that is the ecosystem is so much larger on Ethereum that there's more options that you have to do with your tokens. Whereas on Terra, one of the best ways to make interest, make returns on your Terra Luna is by staking it on the network.
Right. But I think that the gamification around like the trade-off between Terra tokens and Luna tokens, and the way that burning Terra tokens is an offshoot of, working with where the burning Luna tokens comes from as a deflationary measure when to bring the price down, like for its tether with USDT. I think that there's so many options there to participate. Like there's a lot within that universe in terms, like it feels a little gamified to me, to tell you the truth. But in this case, I think that's a good thing because it encourages participation. The thing is, I love Ethereum. Everyone, and by the way, Jonathan, you're right. I just looked at CoinMarketCap. It says it's at 90 right now. When I was checking my article 2 hours ago, it said 94. So yeah, I guess it's having a little bit of a downward trend. When I checked it 2 days ago, it was 97. So I guess it's slipping a little bit. But no, I like the thing is, man, when are we going to see more? Why should we be looking to Polygon and Solana for these more built out communities when Ethereum is Azura High in this case? They're the prince that was promised, the chosen one by the community for so long now, all the hype for all the years. They shouldn't be having to play catch up to alternative DeFi networks. So what's going on? When's Ethereum 2 gonna spit out something to blow our minds a little bit more?
So I heard a thesis on this a couple weeks back that I thought was really interesting. And it's that Ethereum started out decentralized because that's the hardest aspect to solve
Right.
of the blockchain trilemma. Because
Right.
once you have a centralization of power, it's really hard to take that away from those people that are in power. It's much easier to build out an ecosystem and solve scalability, even though that is a huge problem that's really hard to solve. It's easier to do than taking away power from those in power. So that's why I like Ethereum more so than some of these other coins, because although they may reach that scalability and have those technological advances right now, it's not sure that they're going to actually be able to decentralize the way that they may want to in 5 years from now.
Mm-hmm. Well, it will be interesting to see how it plays out. You had a Bored Apes item that you were going to talk about, I believe.
Yeah, let me clean up my face because I think my nose has finally stopped bleeding. But why don't we talk about the executive order, Justin? If you could give us a rundown on what happened there, I'll put you full screen, clean up my face, and jump right back in.
Okay.
All
That
right,
would be
sounds
like
good.
a fireside chat of just describing the executive order. Actually, I watched like Pomp and I watched Ben from BitBoy talk about. Yeah, go ahead, Ben. I'm good. I'm just chattering now. I watched Pomp and Ben from BitBoy. Love Ben, great guy. Anytime I've ever dealt with him, love him. Talk a little bit about what it meant. I read the order, read the breakdown of the order. I mean, like the bottom line to me is, I don't know, maybe this metaphor is just funny to me, but it reminds me of, like the order takes on a pretty positive aspect in that it's really doing is defining the roles of the government agencies and exploring different kinds of potential of blockchain and Web3 technology. So, of course, this is a political machine that we're talking about here. They're going to put things in a positive way. But for us, it's kind of a win as soon as lawmakers even know like what we're doing. It's just that it also kind of spooks people a little bit, right? Because we don't want too much we don't want too much regulation. I know that two parts that they're going to look at are going to be environmental impact, and it's free to feel like feel free to feel that that's not fair if you like. I mean, everything has a carbon footprint. I heard earlier today that tumble dryers use up more power than crypto. And that might be true. I don't know. But like, I still think it's something that we're going to have to deal with and take seriously as part of our mainstreaming, essentially. They've made it clear that that's what's going to be required of us. And the other thing is to be really forthright around this Ukraine thing. I mean, bear in mind, these are not people who are necessarily in the know about what we're doing and how crypto works, but they know enough right now to be slightly dangerous. And they are trying to make sure that oligarchs cannot hide their money and work around sanctions. So like, I think we're going to have to show really good faith on those two issues because of the optics. I mean that from a purely a promotional point of view. Like, we are all ambassadors to crypto in our own way. So right now, this is a lot like having your parents come and visit your college apartment. It's a little bit uncomfortable. It kind of freaks you out a little bit. At least that's what I remember. Ryan is much closer to the experience than me, but at the same time, you play nice because you kind of need them to help fund you and stuff. Because they're your parents. But so I think it's a little bit like that. Like, I think for the most part, the attention is positive. I think two issues that are going to and have stuck in the craw a little bit of the crypto world are the idea that we're going to be held to some sort of account. There's some sort of accounting is going to be made around the green issue, and right now I wouldn't want to be Binance. I wouldn't want to be in the position of like being on either side of like one of the biggest cyber warfares that's ever happened, by the way. Like, so crypto is definitely playing a role. Like the pandemic, it's also adding to like people knowing about us, which is net a good thing in terms of bringing people into the space, but we're being scrutinized. So we have to pay some attention to that. Still, overall, the order is for the most part positive. It looks like, more regulation will help standardize and frankly make our investments more steady. And I don't think that we'll get to $100,000 mark without it. Like, they are adopting us. They are making us part of the system. Sometimes the initiation process, like a lot of initiation, sucks. But we have to be ready to put our interview face on and represent our community if we want that sweet high price range, getting it back up toward laser eyes, right? What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I think you make a really good point. We need this regulation if we want to go mainstream. And it's kind of funny because so many people in crypto are libertarian and they hate regulations. And for a good reason, sometimes it hurts innovation. But as long as they do it smartly, I think it's a good move. I was surprised to see how many people actually supported this executive order. Do you know why so many people are supporting this executive order? Because it seems like they really are going after a lot more regulation. Is it like the wording from the executive order like takes crypto much more seriously than before? Is maybe my understanding. That might not be the best. Justin, you know more than me.
And Joe is a very middle of the road. He has a very middle of the road approach. Like he flies under the radar in a lot of ways. I don't think he's trying to put a big attitude around this. I think he's trying to approach, I don't know, cautiously. Having read it, I hope that they're being sincere. I hope that they want to engage with the Web3 community and learn from us. And I hope that is what comes out of it. I think that people want the structure of regulation, especially if we can keep the SEC out of it and remain a commodity, essentially. I think that's kind of where we need to be. And at that point, we have kind of arrived in terms of mainstreaming. We've been accepted as a thing, and then we'll have to deal with that. Like that's where it's all going to come from. But that's why I think it feels positive. I also wonder, Ryan, if there isn't an undercurrent of the Ukraine playing in all of this. Like, I remember thinking from the very beginning when I think it was, I don't want to get it wrong, I think it was Binance that objected to. They were like, no, we do not want to hand over all the names of everyone on Russian accounts.
Yeah, that was Binance.
And I totally understand their point and how it is antithetical to some of the some of the precepts of what decentralization and the autonomy of identity and so forth, things that are just endemic, that are part of our understructure in crypto. That's totally true. But at the same time, people are very, very, the whole world has circled around Ukraine and the struggle that they're going through, which is very real.
100%.
So I think in some ways there is also a sense of like people don't want to appear to be standing against that somehow. I mean, in answer to your question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we saw, crypto raised like $30 million last time I checked for Ukraine. So I mean, there's good and bad on both sides for sure. Yeah, but after Ukraine announced that airdrop, I mean, the donations spiked like crazy. I bet they've raised 40 to 50 million now. Like I said, they raised 30 million when I checked like a week or two ago. So that's great. I mean, that's the power of crypto right there. I think it's really being showcased right now in plenty of different ways, for good and for bad. But even when it's showcased to get around sanctions, like you said, it's still not necessarily like inherently bad, right? It shows the use case of crypto.
Right.
and what it's meant to be, that nobody can control it, and you still have true ownership of some type of asset that nobody can take from you.
Right. Definitely. And you know, like crypto has also played a really positive, helpful role in terms of getting donations to the, Ukraine. I believe that Zelensky's government has said that they prefer to receive it that way, and I think they've received the bulk of their donations that way. So again, it's just like another thing that, like, even like the pandemic, it's not about us, but it makes crypto like really important all of a sudden. It makes people know what's going on or what we're about a little bit more.
100%. So, Justin, I want to get to this Bored Ape Yacht Club news. It's pretty controversial. Let me share my screen with you guys so I can pull up the tweet here. But Bored Ape Yacht Club made a big announcement yesterday on Twitter as actually doing a Twitter space on NFTs just the other day when they tweeted about it. Let's see, Inception. Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so Bored Ape Yacht Club yesterday, they tweet F it again, and there's a link here. But before we go to that, let's just see what they say here. So they've been building with Animoca Brands, which we've talked to before, huge VC firm. They made the Sandbox and a few other metaverse games that are widely popular. And they've been making a play-to-earn game with them. But they said it's not this. So it's not the play-to-earn game that they're creating, and it's also not this. And then they quoted a tweet about Ape Token. So it's not Ape Token, and it's not the play-to-earn game. But something's brewing, something is big. Let's see what it is. So we go here, you register, and then you need to give your passport, national ID, and driving license, as well as your name, family name, selfie, date of birth, address, proof of address, email, and Ethereum address. So remember, this is all held on a centralized server, and all of this information will now be tied to your cryptocurrency wallet, for better or for worse, but it's very controversial news. I'm kind of surprised that they did this, but they are working with Animoca Brands, a huge firm in play-to-earn gaming who has done KYC before. I'm sure a lot of these apes are going to be pretty mad about it. I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to do it. I don't know if I want all that information attached to a centralized server that might be breached in the future. You know, it's a lot of information to give out, especially when you don't know what's happening. Like they just said F it again and then sent a link out. If you've learned anything in crypto, if I've learned anything in crypto, it's to never click a link and give away your information. Sure, this is Bored Ape Yacht Club, but I don't know if I'm going to do it yet. I think I want to wait and see what it's all about, but I don't want to wait too long and miss out.
Do you think that this is a case of them trying to, you know, work with a partner from outside of outside the blockchain industry that maybe has a different idea of, you know, consumer privacy? Because if you sign up for EA, you sign up for Steam, anything like that, honestly, they own you. They have all your information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Animoca Brands, for a little bit of color, they were actually a huge app developer on iOS before they switched to Web3. Right. So they have a lot of experience in Web2 developing different types of games where KYC is completely normal. And they do implement KYC on some of their Web3 games. So, I mean, not surprising because they did work with Animoca Brands, but I mean, it doesn't really fit with the ethos of cryptocurrency and being anonymous, or at least pseudo-anonymous.
Right. Well, I don't know. I think it's a really tough balance to walk. I have often wondered why I mean, now you see projects advertising that the heads of the projects are doxxed because people are so sick of rug pulls. And actually, I hate that usage of the word dox, because dox used to specifically be a very bad thing. So you know, but like it is so strange that, like, you're trusting people with these transactions on kind of a blind basis, and you don't even know who the project leaders are a lot of the time. And yet that's been like a virtue for the past year or so. That kind of thing makes me feel like I'm old, because I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, the Bored Ape Yacht Club founders weren't doxxed until like a month ago, and it wasn't even their choice. It was BuzzFeed that doxxed them. Right. And now they're coming out a month later and asking everybody who owns one of their NFTs to dox themselves. So it seems a little bit hypocritical.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So that's cool. I originally started reading it was funny. I started reading the Biden executive order when Logan posted that picture of like the beginning of the order that was like dummied up. So the first line item was that you're not allowed to wear Bored Ape Yacht Club paraphernalia anymore. And I was like, what? No, wait, really? No, I guess I thought it was a joke, but I was like, now I have to see what it really says. But no, of course you are allowed to wear Bored Ape Yacht Club stuff, but you're not allowed to say GM say it back anymore on Twitter. Sorry guys. That's been made a minor. No, it's not. It has.
Thanks, Joe Biden.
Thanks, Joe Biden. I don't get. To me, again, I'm old. I'm verifiably old. But like GM say it back just sounds kind of like a little bit demanding, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's like I love you. Say it back.
Exactly.
No, I don't even know who you are. I just follow you on Twitter. I'm not
exactly. It's like everybody's tweeting to their high school girlfriend or something like that. Like it's so funny.
Yeah, I have caught myself saying GM to the normies lately. I will just send out GMs, but got to spread the crypto culture. I do my part here.
I think the normies have cracked the code. I think they know what GM means.
Yeah, it's not too hard to figure that one out.
So tell us about who we have coming up again, Ryan. Who's coming up on
we have David Gokstein with us backstage right now. We might as well get into the interview here shortly, but he's an influencer, has acquired over 600,000 followers on Twitter. He's involved in a ton of different projects, NFT projects, cryptocurrency projects, as seen on Fox News, as seen just about everywhere on the internet. And Benzinga has been lucky enough to have him as a contributor here at Benzinga now. So we're working together. Lots of stuff in the pipeline that I'm excited for. But without further ado, I'm going to bring David up here. David, how are you? I'm going to fix this.
What's going on?
In a second.
Hey, David.
Mike.
There we go.
There you
What's
go.
going on, guys?
Now you have
I can't see anything, but it's I mean,
David
trying the sunlight.
is now sitting in the most the specific area in town that will best support Wi-Fi. We identified it scientifically before the interview. We're a hardworking group here.
I got to tell you, I literally just drove around everywhere possible to try to get a connection. I'm so happy though to be on the show today.
We're totally happy to see you. The picture froze up for a second there. Okay, good. We're back. So, you've been in the game for quite a while. When did you start? When did you start, David? In the crypto space.
I would give it. I don't know. I'm old. I'm
Me too.
I don't know.
Somebody told me about Bitcoin when it was a fraction of a penny. I was like, that's stupid, and walked away. Forgot about it for 12 years.
It's funny. Like, I had people tell me, "Hey, get into this," and one of my friends into this, got to get into this, and I was like, "Please wait for me, man. I don't listen to your World of Warcraft story." But then you sit back and annoying me, and I started getting into it, and I appreciate him. I'll never give it back to him.
Well, that's awesome. I like to ask everybody their aha moment. When did you realize this was going to be a big thing, man? That was going to change your life. That was going to change the world.
I think I realized in probably 2014, 15.
Yeah.
Okay, this is something really, really good. And I think that this will, decent to me is what everybody truly wants. And I sat back and I was like, if enough people to this, it will, and that is, doors down. Example would be El Salvador legal tender. I mean, that it's crazy. A standpoint looking at Bitcoin from in 2014 till now to see that happen. I mean, and we still know that is repetitive and people beat it early, but truly we are early, and people or countries, I should say, are trying to take it on as legal tender. It is a beautiful thing. My realization part where we can go ahead and trust again, that was my okay, I'll to this, and I'm going to dig deeper and understand everything about this technology.
Because to you, that means freedom and autonomy, essentially, like the ideal expressed in the white paper.
Looks like David's frozen here.
Oh no, or he's thinking very deeply about the question.
Yes. Pondering his thoughts for a minute here.
Oh, that's kind of a shame. It's so good to talk to him too.
Let me see if I take him off stream for a second and throw him back on.
Can you bring him back on his audio? Would that help? Okay. Well, that's crazy. And I guess Terra is moving around all over the place. It was funny to saw that it had dropped since I checked it like 2 hours ago. I mean, I guess it's when CoinMarketCap updates. But I was, I low key knew a little bit about Terra and Luna. I mean, I'd seen it around, but until I looked into it, I had no idea how deep the project was. It actually was kind of fun to write about them this week.
Yeah, quick coin market cap check. Let's check out where Terra is as well as some other coins. So right at $90, that's pretty good. I don't know if I've seen Terra at the 7th place actually ever. It probably has been there, but I mean, that's pretty high up for Terra Luna. We don't see it that high usually. It's usually barely in the top 10, if in the top 10. Do you have your eyes on any other coins, Justin, while we wait for David?
No, not at this point. I'm mainly trying to track Ethereum and Bitcoin and kind of see where the bellwethers are going to go. There are a few other smaller projects that I like. Let's see what I'm trying to follow this week. I've been really studying these alternative networks, and I have to say, like my interview with Polkadot, my interview with Polygon, both of those interviews impressed the heck out of me. I'm incredibly bullish on both of them, but it feels like so is just about everybody else. But having talked to the projects themselves, they're impressively smart. And to tell you the truth, originally I wasn't really trying to necessarily talk to Binance about BNB chain originally, but I had a friend who moved over there, and I'm glad that I covered them. They're actually up to a lot. Like now that they've added some functionality to be able to do DeFi on their network and so forth, it actually, like, considering they have so much awareness and such a big footprint, they might really they're already, I think, technically the most used blockchain, and exactly like Gemini and the Winklevoss brothers with their metaverse project, which they swear they're going to reach 1 billion users. That is their stated goal over at BNB chain, which is how they prefer for the name to be said. But yeah, BNB chain, they're looking to have 1 billion users. I mean, there's only a little bit over 5 billion users on the internet right now. So this is a company putting a stake in the ground that they're going to be big, like like Amazon kind of big, right? Like there is activity going on around there. It's very interesting stuff that they're up to.
Yeah, 1 billion users, that is a huge number. And we got David back here. David, how are you doing? Is your connection better?
I swear, this is ridiculous, but I do apologize. I should have been by a PC by now, but caught in traffic. So
all good.
I'm hoping that we got 5G service here.
All right, I'm glad that you're with us again. So tell us a little bit about what you've been up to. The HODL gang community. You are the founder of the HODL gang community. Tell me what that is. I just saw that in your bio. I'm curious.
Somebody put it in there. Like I will not take claim to that.
Is
but
it like a made-up thing?
I started hashtagging the HODL gang, and a bunch of people started doing the same. Listen, man, I honestly, at the end of the day, I believe in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So it's more than gains for me now. It's bigger than that. So when people talk about price, I don't really care. I'm not affected by it. I don't look at the charts every day. I'm not a trader. I'll buy and hold. I'll DCA all day. If it means I have to buy at 30, if I have to buy at 40, 35, that's what I'm doing. But I believe in Bitcoin itself and what it has the potential of doing and what it's doing now. So for me, it's all about having these hands that are diamond. Like if you took an X-ray, you would see diamonds in these hands because I'm not letting go of these bags.
For sure, David.
But I've been doing a lot. You know, G Media obviously started that 5 years ago to dumb down the content for cryptocurrency, because you come into the space, a lot of the stuff that was being pushed out there was, you know, it wasn't in layman's terms. Nobody understands C, C++, C++. Nobody's a coder. People are coming in here, the first thing they're thinking about is, how do I get rich? You know,
Right.
they don't know what Luna, you're talking about Luna today.
Mm-hmm.
You go ahead and show them Luna, they'll get confused. Nobody knows how Luna works.
Right.
I love Luna. I have Luna. Phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
You put it all together for somebody. You just lay it out there for somebody. They're like, hell no. Show me the meme token. That, you know, so like for me, it was like, okay, we need to go ahead and come out with something where people can come to us and get some literature that is dumbed down so they can understand from the ground, from the starting ground, and then if they're interested, they can go ahead and obviously move on up.
Right.
That's awesome. David, you mentioned that you started in crypto back in 2014 and 2015, and I'm curious what the ecosystem was like back then. So I started really late 2016 into 2017 just with Bitcoin, and to me it was pretty boring because I wasn't really looking into it. I saw Bitcoin, I knew what it was, I bought some, held on to it, started trading, but it really wasn't until 2017 with the ICO boom where I actually started, messing around with Ethereum's ecosystem, seeing what's coming out. So what was the ecosystem like back in the day, 2014, 2015, when you had Bitcoin and Peercoin and Dogecoin and basically every coin had coin in its name?
It was I would agree with it was boring. It wasn't like this right now. Like right now the space it's exciting. You got NFTs, and I call NFTs as I think as a secondary sector of crypto. So like for me, like it was just, yeah, I would agree. It was boring if you weren't, if you weren't accumulating Bitcoin or stacking stats, excuse me, or getting into ETH. It was a bit. Dogecoin was fun. Like that was, it was a joke. Which look what happened.
But that was as good as we could possibly get. There wasn't a lot of room for self-expression when I was doing that Trayon coin sale. It was a lot of white papers and people trying to cheer about
the white paper. The white paper that looked like a Ferrari, a Lamborghini. It was phenomenal. Okay, here we go. Oh my God, this project is going to do fantastic things. It's going to space. And then within 3 months, you already know what happened, So, lessons learned, but like, again, our industry is so much better for it. I feel like we are so good at policing ourselves. Like this entire industry, the community is so freaking good at policing itself. But you said something about regulation, and I'm going to tell you that I totally agree. If we want to take that next leg up, we need some sort of regulation in this space in order for us to go ahead and take that next step. So I totally, as I was listening to you, trying to find a reception around Bumble, I was about to cuss, but I'm gonna hold that back so you don't get unmonetized.
I think we're allowed a couple.
Yeah, yeah. But finding, to go ahead and take the next step forward, you need some sort of regulation, but you need regulation with clarity. That's the biggest thing. You can't just put out regulation and not have clarity with it. And that, once that clarity is there, the sky's the limit for, and especially for the US. The US has a big stake in this. We don't want our innovators going off to Aruba or to, let's name it down, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, I can keep going, Belarusia.
Right.
They're accepting it. I mean, like, why should we lose our innovators to other countries when we can keep it here and gain revenue that we need? We need revenue. So why have the most intelligent people that we have in the United States of America leave? No, bring clarity, bring these regulations that are crypto friendly, and watch us boom.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So David, I saw in your Twitter bio you are a Bored Ape owner. You collect some NFTs. So I have a couple questions regarding NFTs. One, are you diamond handsing your ape? Are you holding it forever? Do you have an exit strategy for it? And also, what other NFTs are you excited about? Maybe some that you've bought recently. I'm curious your thoughts on the NFT ecosystem.
First of all, in 2017 I was introduced to NFTs, and I was actually introduced to NFTs by Ken Bozak. Shout out to Ken Bozak, the OGs of this space. We're talking about, oh, check out the art. It's going to be crypto art, and I'm like, no, I'm not into this.
Sure.
And because I wasn't open-minded enough to go ahead and see it. I thought NFTs would really be good in titling. You know, moving forward, titling with NFTs makes sense to me. But now, you know, I sat back for the last, I would say, year, and I understand, and this space is a necessity, especially for people who are creative, real artists. It gives people an opportunity to go ahead and be successful. And when I say that, the people that, I don't know if you guys have ever been to New York City, Times Square, but there are artists out there that do a phenomenal job at creating art. They would never have the opportunity that they have now to go ahead and make the amount of money that they can make now if the NFT space wasn't around. This industry, you know, a lot of people, you know, yeah, there are the 10% that come out with these crocodiles and all this crap, you know, yeah, we get it, but there are one-of-ones, true artists that come out here that I want to grab a hold of their you know, artwork. So
yeah, I
I
agree
think
with
it's just
you.
the starting point before we head into titling.
You know, so titling, you're talking about records, like you know, you're talking about titles, real estate deeds. What are we talking about in terms? What use case are you talking about there?
Like I'm gonna give a shout out to prop, where, you know, you can exchange deeds. Oh, you want to buy my house? We can do it via NFT. I mean, it makes paperwork so much simpler. I mean, if I can go ahead and give you the title to my car, if I sell you my car, here's an NFT. Just give me your wallet. I'll send it off. Done deal. We're done with paperwork. We don't have to. Look, Alfa Romeo came out, or is coming out with a car which is embedded with an NFT. Do you know how much money, number one, that owner is going to make on resale? Number two, service. They'll know everything about the car's history. So forget Carfax. Carfax better get with the game. You know, Carfax better come out with an NFT if they want to stay alive, because that in itself, NFT embedded into a vehicle, that's the technology that I'm looking for. Forward to, excuse me.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and once you look at it that way, of course, it'd be enormously helpful in anything having to do with provenance or logistics. You can use it and combine it with like infrared technology to scan, you know, crates coming off of ships and so forth. I mean, really, like I tend to agree with David, who I think might be frozen at the immediate moment, but I agree with David that definitely, like, you know, what blockchain keeps records better than it does anything else. That's essentially what it does. It's a ledger, after all. So definitely, I can see how, you know, medical records, titles to a property, titles to cars, and so forth, how it could be enormously important there, and that could be something that everybody has, whereas right now only a few people have apes.
100%. Yeah. And when people say NFTs are digital art, I mean, I cringe a little bit because it's just the tip of the iceberg, right? And I try and give them examples. There's NFTs as mortgages now that you can take out liens against your home and represent it as an NFT. You can do so many different things. You can get financial positions like on Uniswap that are NFTs. You can do, like you said, car loans, identity, healthcare records. There's so many different things that will be NFTs. And a question I start asking is, how many NFTs do you think you'll have in 10 years? And people will probably be like, I don't want NFTs. Like, I don't care about the art. Like, I'm not about to spend $50,000 on some dumb profile picture. And I said, well, actually, like, it's pretty likely that you'll have 100 NFTs in 10 years from now, because, you know, your identity, all your records, like a loan you might get,
your passport.
Right. Yeah. And once Ethereum 2.0 comes out and they solve the scalability problem, which won't actually happen at the merge, that's a misconception. But once they implement sharding and parallel blockchains, the fees will be so cheap that the use case for NFTs will grow so much, because right now you can't use an NFT to represent something of value under $100 because it costs $100 to mint the NFT. But imagine all the different things that are non-fungible in your life that you could keep track of that have
Right.
some sort of value that are under $100. That's when most of the innovation comes, right? When we see innovation, the majority of innovation usually comes when the technology gets cheap enough to actually experiment well on the blockchain. I think we're probably seeing that some on alternative layer ones. But I think once ETH is able to scale and we have this ecosystem of apps we can already use, then that's going to change the entire game, because you can innovate so much more when you have a 5-cent gas fee instead of, testing something and it's $50 every time you want to transact. So once we see that, I mean, I think everybody is going to have hundreds of NFTs representing basically everything that's non-fungible in their life that has value.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And I'm really interested in seeing not only where content creators like Gary Vee is very fond of talking about can take this, but also what kind of innovations we will see around this. I think that ultimately it will become, as you said, just sort of a part of day-to-day life, essentially. Like, it's another form of ownership. I mean, look, I always got that feeling. One of my favorite people to talk to is Alex Salnikov from Rarible. He's like one of my favorite in the NFT space, just because he's got that digital ownership thing like so down. He said to me during the first interview with him something like, the most valuable thing I own, he's the co-founder of Rarible, the most valuable thing I own is this laptop. And I thought, oh, wow, okay, this is a whole lifestyle thing, isn't it? Like, basically he's living the digital ownership dream, which right now only a few are doing, but I sure can see how it makes sense. Physical objects are a lot harder to keep perfect and keep track of, that's for sure.
Yep. Yeah, my car is dented up and worth probably 1/10 of what my mutant ape is worth, but my mutant ape is in pristine condition. So yeah, I understand that for sure.
So I wonder if our audience, you guys should comment if you had an ape, if you just had one now, by some genie wish, some trick of fate appears in your wallet, all things being equal, do you hold or do you sell? I mean, how much are we talking about here, Ryan? What's the floor price right now?
Mutant apes are around 50,000, and in Bored Apes are around 200.
Yeah, around
250.
200,000. I mean, so that means you get a payout of about 120 in the US, because literally like 80,000 is going to taxes, which is awful. But do you offboard it and sell it? 120,000 is a lot of loot, or do you hold on to that? And it's I don't know. I get the feeling that everybody like holds. I mean, obviously there's a lot of secondary trading, so that isn't true. But most of the hardcore NFT collectors, they do not seem to be in it for the sake of, they're not just trying to flip. They're trying to pick projects that they can adore forever.
And it's interesting too, when you go on OpenSea, you can see what the price was for the buyer who's now selling the NFT. And a lot of times, even today, you'll see they bought it at 0.1 ETH, 0.2 ETH, 0.3 ETH, which a lot of people have that kind of money in cryptocurrency, right? I mean, that's
Right.
a few $100s, and now they're selling it for 6 figures. So a lot of these people are very convicted, and they probably don't want to sell. But when they come across money like that, they may have never seen before, considering the investment they made just a few months ago. I mean, a lot of people are really convicted, and you still see a lot of people that either minted or got in under 1 Ethereum and are still holding, and they're not even listing them for sale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and it gets to be a whole thing. Once you start offboarding any of your properties, once you start liquidating them, you're subject to capital gains tax, and now you've got a whole other situation. I mean, it's nice to be able, if you're already holding crypto, to be able to flip the crypto over and then buy NFTs with that, and then watch it appreciate in 2 different ways. But in terms of like trying, I've seen success stories just doom scrolling on Twitter of people being like, I just bought my mom's house. I just bought a house for my mom. I just bought, my own first home. Like, people are really like the creators themselves are really benefiting. But some stories among holders are also like really seeing kind of these real life benefits. But it must be hard to let go of your most precious holdings. There's a lot of emotional attachment there.
Yeah, especially if it's your only one too. So that's like one of the statistics I like to look at when I'm looking at an NFT, is the number of holders versus the number of NFTs in the collection. Because if they only have one and it's their profile picture, they're probably more attached to it. they're less likely to sell. But if they have 5 of them, they're probably planning to sell at least a few of them when the price appreciates. That's why they have so many. So that's a key statistic I really like to look at when I'm researching NFTs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So where do we take it from here? Do we have any idea on the whereabouts of David? Have we heard?
He popped back in for a second and he must have left again. It looks like he's still having some trouble with his connection.
Right.
Yeah, in the chat, guys, if you have any coins you want us to look at, shoot it in the chat. It's not a busy day in the chat, so we will get to your coins. We'll talk about it. Maybe play a little bit of Moon or Bust. We don't do it too often anymore. But when we started the show, Justin, the last 10 minutes would be Moon or Bust. And what we'd do is we would take coins from the chat and then give our opinions and say if it's a Moon or if it's a Bust.
Okay. All right, that would be funny.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see if anyone wants us to view their coins, but...
So are you big into NFTs, right? I never really talked to you about them.
So NFTs, yeah, funny story. Logan and I had a computer class back in high school, and we got exposed to NFTs through CryptoKitties. We were playing that back in the day. We really didn't even know what it was all about. Like,
sure,
that was the reason I got a MetaMask wallet in the first place, was for CryptoKitties, because I heard about it and I thought it was a cool thing to try and test out. And now everybody's saying NFTs will onboard the masses to crypto. A lot of people say that, and I think that's funny because I've been in it now 4 years, and the reason I actually got a MetaMask wallet was for NFTs. Before NFTs were really a thing, they were just 721 tokens. But I'm not huge in NFTs. I don't grind discords. I don't really mint NFTs too often. And I think a lot of them are too risky for my risk tolerance. That's why I got the Mutant Ape. I think the brand is really big. It's very established. And when we see a long-term bear market, if I'm still holding on to it, I'm pretty convicted it will come back when the bull market continues. People will remember Bored Apes. People will remember CryptoPunks. And outside of those two, there might be another 3 to 5 collections that people really remember. And I'd say, they'll probably come back. But I don't want to be holding on to something that could go to zero, especially when I'm paying Ethereum for it. And I'm so bullish on Ethereum already, right? So,
But it's interesting to note that people buy for reasons other than just profit, after all. And that really
100%.
that's the secret sauce that NFTs tapped into. I was there for a lot of the, even including some pretty ridiculous rah parties and trying to hype people up on Telegram and so forth when we were going to an ICO. I was there for 15 ICOs or something like that in 2017 and 2016, 2018. And what David said is absolutely true. It's like NFTs brought personality to the space. I mean, up until then, Dogecoin was about as funny and personalized and adorable as it got. I think the reason why it's so good to have the artists come into the space, part of the reason why I like to talk to them, they bring these outside ideas. It's like when I was growing up, LARPing, which is to I was Dungeons and Dragons player. So LARPing as in dressing up with a pretend sword and going and hitting each other over the head. That was a fairly dorky activity by mainstream standards, but cosplay. So in other words, gender balance it a little bit and make it a little bit more mainstream, and all of a sudden it's almost cool as a phenomenon, at least compared to playing Dungeons and Dragons and LARPing and stuff. So it's kind of like that. It's brought fun into the space and personality where and self-expression where it really wasn't there before.
100%, and more diversity, right? I mean,
definitely
more diversity. We see artists come in that were never in crypto before, and we see more women come in through NFTs. I mean, finance traditionally is very male dominated, so is computer science, but with NFTs, we're getting into the art sector and some other different industries that are, not as male dominated. So that's great to see that NFTs are bringing more diversity into the space too. And I mean, DAOs could be next to do that. As an organization, I mean, that could really onboard a ton of people too. I think we're probably still a year or two out, though, until we see DAOs really take off in the way I want to see.
Yeah, the thing about it, it's like talking to somebody who is says that they're vegan, and then as you talk to them, finding out they're not really vegan. I just want to see more DAO projects that are actually functioning as DAOs with voting systems that are actually making decisions. Don't you hear that about 1 million times a year? It's oh yeah, we're a DAO, or kind of vaguely, we're planning to be. Oh, really? Have you voted on your first cohort of projects that you're going to fund or whatever? We're about to. We'll be doing that in Q1. Like that, it seems to be kind of where everyone is right now. I mean, like with exceptions, some of the bigger players. I know that Binance is already or BNB chain is already a functioning DAO, for example. But like, I don't run into it all that often. I mean, do you find that, Ryan? We've got many more people saying they are than actually are.
So, I mean, it's really hard right now because the term we use is DAO, but DAO can be Uniswap, it can be Metacartel, like an investment DAO, it can be a collector DAO for NFTs, it could be like a million different things. So we definitely need like a better naming system for these things because like Uniswap, a token that has governance and you can control a protocol like Uniswap, that's vastly different than a DAO like Metacartel, which funds ventures and has like an active community of contributors. So the landscape, I think, is completely different based on what type of DAO we're talking about. That being said, I do see the problems that you're talking about, Justin, especially for these like bigger token DAOs and for like NFTs that are saying they're launching a DAO. Like maybe they have one that's not really operational. It's at this point, it is kind of a buzzword, right? Like saying you're creating a metaverse. That's kind of how I see it with a lot of these, especially the NFT projects right now, saying they're going to create a DAO. That being said, when I was at ETH Denver, the coolest event I went to as far as the people there was the event surrounding DAOs. Those guys, there were core Ethereum devs there that were coding Ethereum before it even came out. There were like guys that were used to have a past life. I met a Michigan alumni who was practicing law, and now he doesn't do any law. He does 4 DAOs. And these guys they were very impressive, and I'm very confident that they're going to take this space to the next level over the next few years.
You and Logan already have a little DAO going on, don't you?
We do, yeah, the MDAO, and we were actually at that event to pitch the MDAO, and we got accepted to an accelerator program, which is very exciting.
That's great. You didn't even mention that. That's great.
Yeah, so we've been in some meetings with actually Metacartel and Metapod. It's through Metapod. That's why I have the little Metapod Pokemon up there, actually. Fun fact. Yeah, that little guy. But that starts this week. I'm really excited for it. There's huge names in the DAO space will be there. Tons of big DAOs, and hopefully we'll get some really good guidance and some sponsorship, some funding, and we're going to take it to the next level over the next few months.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I had no idea. I know that you had quite an adventure out there and had a little bit of trouble getting back.
Yeah.
Well, another thing, since we're just approaching the last couple of minutes of the show, in terms of announcements, there is a huge hackathon going on right now for the BNB chain is doing a big hackathon. They're really trying to encourage participation right now.
That's awesome. Is it a virtual hackathon? Can anyone join?
Yes, I think so. Actually, I don't have the URL in front of me, which I should post that. I'll try and post that with the description. But no, that's really cool that you got out there and were able to do that. Was it just kind of like a pitching competition or was like a Shark Tank format?
Yeah, it was a pitching competition. It was pretty informal, just a 5-minute pitch. And we were in their Discord for a while. We applied, and then there were a couple rounds. And if you made it to the final round, they had an event in ETH Denver that we went to. So yeah, very cool stuff. Speaking of announcements, Justin, you're starting your very own crypto show. After Monday, you knocked it out of the park with Logan. People want to see you, right? So you're starting your own crypto show. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Correct me if I'm wrong. And what time's it at? What's your vision? Tell us a little bit about that before we wrap up.
It's at 11 to 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. What I'm going to do is, for the most part, probably make use of these interviews. I mean, like I speak to a lot of really fascinating people. And one thing, if I was going to say back to David when we were talking about how NFTs are bringing personality to the space, is that I've had the honor of interviewing so many interesting people like Serge Tankian from System of a Down, Ja Rule, Jordan Belfort, Tim Draper. So people like a good mix of people from in the space and also from outside of the space. I think Julie Pacino is going to come on and talk. She's the first producer who has at this point funded a feature film through NFTs, and I think she'll come on and talk to me on Tuesday. Like I love to have conversations like that. I love to do interviews. And frankly, so many of the people I meet are just such amazing people. Like Julie's just amazing and completely unpretentious and doing really cool things, working with like fundraising around NFTs. So it's going to be a cool show. I look forward to doing it, and it's I think Logan's gonna help ride along with me for the first week or two. We'll see how that goes, but it'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Do you have a name for it yet?
Right now, it's just being handed to me, and it's called like Benzinga Crypto Podcast.
Okay.
So I don't know if it has to stay that or if I.
No, I think you're the mind behind this. You're the creative. If you want to change
name
the
it
name,
something. I should name it something. People in comments, tell me what I should name it. Somebody, come on, chime in there. But no, it's really cool. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, it's 3 p.m., Justin, so let's wrap it up. Before we do, Ryan Onchain is my Twitter, guys. I have 998 followers. I need 2 of you to follow me. We have 180 in the chat. So, I mean, that's not a bad conversion rate. I just need 2 of you. I'm begging at this point, guys. Just
I'll go tell my wife to follow you. That's 2, man. You just
Thank you, Justin.
I probably don't follow you. No, I do. But yeah, I'm at Sensible on Twitter as well. Say hi, guys. I know Logan's probably more fun than me, but I'll be dropping in on this show from time to time, and it's been cool hanging out with all you guys today.
Peace out, guys.